Okay, good morning, good day, wherever you are. 7th of Elul in Hayom Yom. So it's an interesting little historical note here. The Alter Rebbe instructed that in the phrase Tuach Daka is a phrase in Devorim which refers to a certain deformity of the body. And he notes that the word Daka, be written in the Torah scroll with an aleph, not with a hey. If you look at every Torah scroll and any version that has the Hebrew in it, you'll see it written with a hey, Daka with a hey. And the Alter Rebbe instructed that it really should be with an aleph. Okay. Now, in fact, he goes on and says, in Prague, there is a Torah scroll. This is now the Frierdiker Rebbe writing. He saw a Torah scroll which, according to local tradition, had been examined and amended by Ezra the scribe. That's a long time ago. It is read only on Simchas Torah, and it's always rolled to the portion of Shema. Now, the Frierdiker Rebbe says, when I was in Prague in 1908, I saw that scroll, and in it, the Daka is spelled with an aleph, the way the Alter Rebbe had instructed. It seems that this is a ancient Masorah, given tradition, that it should be written in aleph, yet for some reason every other Torah scroll is written with a hey, except for this one. And also, he writes, when I was in Worms in 1907, I saw a Sefer Torah written according to their tradition by Rabbi Meir of Rottenburg, also a long time ago, and there too, the word Daka was written with an aleph. And he points now to other books of references which discusses this inyan. What we make of that, I don't know. I don't know at the moment. So I call it a historical gloss until there's some wisdom opens, some opening channel opens up to see anything deeper than that. Okay, lessons in Tanya. We're continuing Skalach Bina, to bring into one's mind a deeper understanding. The Seichel is mind, and bring a deeper understanding about how to look at things, how to look at everything from the perspective of everything being godly. We're starting here. This today continues that letter 11, on page 194 in Lessons in Tanya. And in Likutei Amorim, page 232. 232, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 10 lines down from the bottom, in the middle of the page. The Al-Kain, therefore what? Since we are cultivating a habit of looking at everything the way it is really, meaning that Ein Od Milvado, there is nothing besides God, and everything comes from the living God, and we're cultivating our emunah. As I mentioned a few times, the word emunah is the same word as an uman, which is a craftsperson. One has to work at this. One has to craft at this, to see with different eyes. So through this, Al-Kain, so Reishis HaKol, so the beginning of everything is, if you're looking with these kinds of eyes, Sheyismach ha'odam v'yigal b'chol eis v'shah, that a person will be rejoicing and happy in every moment, b'chol eis v'shah, every time and every moment. V'yichya mamish b'unosai b'Hashem, and he will live truthfully with his faith in Hashem, Hamechaya umetiv imoy, who enlivens Amoy, who enlivens his people, B'chol rega, every single moment. Actually, it could be Amoy or Imoy, his own people or with him. So this is the fact, and we want to train our eyes to see, and this is another of the many ways in which we can understand the Rebbe's expression, open your eyes, to see the underlying truth, and not just the superficial details. And one who is sad or mournful, he shows in just being sad or mournful about things that are happening a bit of the negative side, which is the ma'at ra, the negative side. The yisurim, and he sees things, these yisurim, these difficulties, he sees them as difficulties. And he doesn't see, or he feels that they're lacking in them any good. These yisurim, these difficulties, which we all have, and we wish that we don't, and pray that we don't, but we do. And in looking at them in the way they superficially present themselves, we're looking at them through not good eyes, but the opposite of good eyes. But this is like denial in Hashem. Therefore, the wise people of truth advised and said, distance yourself very, very far from any midah of sadness. Aval Hamamin, one who is a believer, who sees things through the eyes of Emunah, doesn't worry about any difficulties, any pain, or any suffering in this world, nor any inyanim, any affairs of this world. Ein v'lav shovin etzlei. What appears good and what doesn't appear good are equal to him. Behashpa amitis, with a true equality. Umisha ein shovin leib, and one who doesn't see things through these kinds of eyes, that everything is from Hashem equally, whether it looks good or doesn't look good. Mara ba'asma shows upon himself shehuma erev rav, that he's from the Erev Rav who came out of Egypt. The legamrayu avdin. The Erev Rav is it's a group of people, but it's also a category of behavior, a category or a habit of the way one looks at things. When you look at things, that you're looking out only for yourself and seeing these things as things that are pertaining to you and don't pertain to and are not somehow manifestations of Hashem. So you are classified, I am classified, one who does this is classified in the Erev Rab, who serve themselves, and are possessed with self-love, which takes them out from under the hand of Hashem, and puts their whole life force in the side of the idolaters, because of self-love, self-centeredness, self-love. And therefore, because of that self-centeredness and love of oneself, that person goes after the life of the flesh, what's superficially good and juicy, and is possessed with and focused on his own children and his own sustenance. I mean, to take children, for example, nothing can be, well, I'd say nothing, but one of the worst problems that a person has when one of his children, has difficulties. A proper way, the way that he's encouraging us to look at that this way. What are our children? Our children are gifts to us from Hashem. We're just vehicles for the process of bringing them into life, and we've been bestowed with the responsibility to take care of God's children. But they're really God's children. And everything that's happening to them and with them, like everything that's happening to every blade of grass in the world, is happening with godly intention. And godly intention is only good. That this self-preoccupation, preoccupation with one owns things and one owns life, this is good to him, Shalai Nivra, he says about a person like this who is so self-occupied and self-centered that it would better that he had never been created. Because the whole root of why a person has been created in the first place, in this world, that God should test him with these tests, uladas, and to know as Asher believer what's in the person's heart. Whether the person is going to turn his heart after other gods, shehem taivas aguf, which are the taivas, the attractions of the body, the physical attractions, hamishtal shalim misiter achra, which come from the negative side, the other side, ubahem hu chofetz, and that's what the person's whole desire and body of desires is wound up with, or or whether his desire and his will is for the life of life, the true life of lives, which descend from the living God. It's a test. And you could say, okay, thank you very much. But what you need to know, which is not at this point on the page, is Hashem has given us the faculty of Emunah. He's given us a nefesh elokis, through which and the faculty of Emunah to belong to and look into and be aligned with that nefesh elokis. He's given us the tools to release ourselves from this trap of blindsidedness to what's really going on. Blindsidedness to what's really going on causes us to be self-centered, and everything about us matters. Everything that goes on here. If it's a happy birthday party, I'm happy. If it's, God forbid, an accident, I'm distressed. Live at a different level, he's saying. You can. You've been empowered to. This is just a test to bring out the best in you. We're skipping here over to, if you're in the Tanya, there's a lot of writing here about phrases that are not written that weren't originally written and which were put in, and we're skipping over to page Kuf Yud Ches, after the bracket. Beyamin sheba emes, and a person is meant to believe that in truth, hu chai bohem, that everything that he does is from Hashem, and as a result of that, live in them, be alive and positive in them. B'chol tzrachav, in all of one's needs, b'chol inyonav, and all the affairs of a person, you need to know, one needs to know, I need to know. Mistal shalim be'emes, they are descending down in a chain of descent in truth, b'pirtei piter sehem, in their finest details, shalei mesiter acher, not from the other side. Kima Hashem mitzadei gever kainenu, because the pasuk in Tehillim says, Hashem is the one who arranges all of our steps. And David HaMelech says, Ve'ein mila, before any word rises to my mouth, God, you know what is going to be said. Because it's all being orchestrated by you, and you are totally good. Ve'im kein, and if so, hakol toif b'tachlis, everything is utterly good. It's just that we don't grasp that. But even then, in other words, we spoke about mourning yesterday. We do mourn because Hashem gives us what we can do, and understands that we can't musig. We can't, the word musig, we can't grasp in our intellectual and normal human faculties what's beyond being human. So he gives us ways to express our sadness. But at the same time, he tells us that those things which are providing us sadness are really good. There's what you may not see it, and you don't. That's why you're being sad about it. And I'm giving you ways to deal with your sadness. But to be preoccupied with your sadness, chas v'sholom, that's ra. He calls that evil. That's the side of the ones who came out of Egypt, with Moshe Rabbeinu, the Erev Ra. Yeah, we can't grasp it with our mind. and our emotions, but we have a faculty of emunah. And again, emunah, one has to cultivate that faculty of emunah to open our eyes to see things which are beyond the way they appear physically, and know that they are tachlis hatayev. Everything that comes from Hashem, which is everything, is tachlis hatayev, is completely good. Ube'emunah zu, and with this emunah, be'emes nasa hakol toyev gam begilui. Everything becomes good, even in a revealed way. Shebe'emunah zu, because with this emunah, shemamin, that a person believes, shehara hanidbag begolui, that the evil which appears in a revealed state, kol chiyusei, all of its life force, umetoiv ha'elyon, is from the supernal goodness, the supernal good one. Shehi hachmasa yisborach. It's all coming from God's wisdom. It's all godly wisdom, right? Kulam b'chochma asisa is a pasuk. Everything is made with God's wisdom. Everything, even those things which appear to be not good according to our human understanding. It's all hachmasa yisborach. It's all God's wisdom. She'enu museges, and it's just not grasped because we don't have the kelim to grasp it with our human understanding. But we have other kelim, the kelim of emunah, to grasp it, the emunah shlema. The he ha'edin, and this level which is above understanding, we had this yesterday, is called in the language of Chazal and Kabbalah, Eden, the source of the garden, which is behind the veil, so to speak, as he's about to say. It's called Eden, Shelamaylam Olam Haba, which is higher than the next world, Olam Hazeh, Olam Haba, and behind that is the cause of causes, which is inscrutable and ineffable. And with this emunah, nichnal u'mis'ala be'emes hara, all evil is included and elevated, and is absorbed, habaduma, and absorbed, betuv ha'elyon ha'ganos, in the great supernal hidden goodness. That's today's time. Ooh. Any comments?
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
I have a comment about what the Alter Rebbe seems to be saying, which is Bone Chaye Umezone, and all the physical stuff in this world is from the Sitra Achra.
No, that's not what he's saying. That's not what he's saying. God forbid. He's saying that one's attachment to it, so that these things become, and the vagaries that occur to them become your life. That's from the Sitra Achra.
I saw here that he's saying the words Hamishtal Shalim. Shehem ta'avot haguf, the taivos of the body, Hamishtal Shalim misitra achra.
Right.
Versus, if he wants to live the chayei hachayim amitim, the true life of from the true God of life, then his stuff is mishtal shalin be'emes, not from Sitra Achra, Shalom Sitra Achra.
Correct.
So what I'm seeing is like those same taivos haguf can either come from Sitra Achra, mishtal shalim Sitra Achra, or they could be mishtal shalim Shalom.
No, the way to understand it, it's this we've been talking about every throughout from the time we began to Tanya, when he talks about the evil of the flesh, and we know that the flesh is made for good, not only for good, but it's the source, it's the highest good. The Gashmi down here below. So he's talking here is about your perception and preoccupation. If your preoccupation is with that and those and the superficial manifestations of that alone, that's mistalshul from the Sitra Achra. If your perception, let's say, about your children is, oh my gosh, what a blessing that I have, no matter what they are, no matter what level they are, what a blessing that Hashem has given me and given me the opportunity to be custodial, to be a custodian and a nurturer to them. That's from the side of Kedusha. It's the perception, the attitude that you have toward the physical thing, your involvement with and attachment to the physical thing, which can either mistalshel from the Sitra Achra or mistalshel from Kedusha.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That feels better to me than
Sure.
Yeah, what
Yeah,
what one could think when he reads this.
Yes, absolutely. That's why we're here,
Okay,
right?
cool.
To try to get through it, because there's powerful language back at the beginning of the about attachments to about evil, and he says, I mean, remember the one. This is the one that one of the ones that everybody goes away with and walks away from the Tanya, that a person should know about a man should think about a woman, that her end is going to be just a pile of dust or dirt or dung or and people, what? Come on. So it's the attitude that you have toward the thing which the Alter Rebbe is talking to. It's not about the thing itself, because on the contrary, we know Eshes Chayla Teres Barla, we know all the things about womanhood and Malchus and everything else so how do you put these two things together? On the one hand, she's going to deteriorate. She's going to deteriorate. So instead of looking at her in a purely lustful way, and in a physical way, look at her, and now her I'm saying, everything, for what it is internally. If it's here, it has a godly presence. If it's here, it has a godly function. Look for the godly function and how to relate to it. And so you can relate to the very same thing. Here we're talking about children or a piece of meat, right? Basam besorim, piece of meat. You could relate to it as, I just can't wait to get my fingers and my mouth into that, because, okay? And if I don't have it, I feel sad and deprived. No, that's Mesiter Akra. If I look at it as something to nourish me, I like the taste, and that's why Hashem made it tasty, so I would eat it. But so I would eat it so that I would use the strength that I'm getting from it to serve Him. That's from Kedusha.
Avi, we talk about the Sitra Achra like it's separate from Hashem, but
It's
then we
not.
say Od Milvado, right? So everything,
Every single thing.
that
There is
Hashem
not.
Sitra Achra also, and He made evil, which must have a place.
Yes. There is nothing. I mean, you're saying the right positive. I mean, perfectly. There's nothing separate from Hashem. Everything, for anything to exist on any level, spiritual or physical, it has to have a nitzutz, a spark of God in it. Otherwise, it has no existence.
So then you get to the question of, why did Hashem make the Sitra Achra? Why did He create it?
He tells us today, Bishvil nasoisoi b'nesuyonis elu.
Right.
In
so
order to test us. And he's there as an Ezer Kenegdoi. I mean, that's a language taken from from the creation of woman, but he's there to help us. He says, I'm putting you with a test. Know that I'm with you in that test. You can find strength from me in that test, but it's a test. And if you don't look and know that I'm there with you and want you and have given you the power to come out of this test and see the godliness and the goodness from and extract that from the test, so okay, then you'll succumb to it. But you're better than that. You don't need to. Don't succumb to that. If you're Emunah b'Hashem, and if you know what you just said, and you really know that, Ein od milvado, and this is the whole purpose of this letter, to say, be happy, because this is all good. And Ein ra yored mishamayim, and no bad comes from heaven. Now we can't, as he tells us clearly, that's not graspable by our intellect. It looks bad. I mean, lo yoleinu, right? Whatever difficulties we're having. But no, this is godly. And find a way to find the emunah in it and bring forth the emunah that you have in you to that situation and turn it into a different story for yourself.
That's the very famous story in the boxcar. I don't know if it was the Munkacher Rebbe, the Vishnitzs. They were on their way to the concentration camp, and then he got them all to sing Ani Mamin with that very famous niggun. that would probably epitomize what you're saying.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Beautiful.
It's a very difficult test.
Yes.
I mean, Al Kiddush Hashem,
This is very difficult. He says it's not easy. But we have the power to do it. We have the power to cultivate emunah beyond the way things appear to us, without the emunah. That itself, should help us. I mean, listen, admittedly, there are situations which overcome us. All of us, I'm sure, have had those things. And if not, moments at least, where we succumb, because that's the koichos hamusog in the graspable level, that they look evil, right? But at the same time, I mean, I know others in this group can look to experiences that they're having, which on the surface look like very, why did Hashem give this to me? And find the blessings in them as well, and the strength to go on. Rosa was here yesterday. That's why Rosa and a couple other people were speaking and spoke about this. Finding the point of peace and the point of joy, even in sadness. And this is difficult. This is. I'm telling the truth. I'm very happy with the way we are understanding this together, because when I first started, thought about learning this, I was going to introduce this by saying, this is one of the most difficult parts of Tanya, not intellectually, but emotionally. Oh yeah, I could do this, but you can't. And some of the conversation we had yesterday spoke about how people have come through it using with strength as a result of this little piece of Tanya that we're doing. Which that's the end of this. This is a one compact little piece. We're going back to the subject of tzedakah tomorrow. And maybe we'll see the connection. Maybe we won't. But any other further comments, questions?
Yeah, so it's really just remembering that it's all Ein Od Milvado.
Yeah.
Whenever comes up, it's keeping that in mind, that it's all just coming from that Aiden.
Yes. Yeah. Keeping it in mind, and which will gradually lead to habituating one's own emotions to actually feel that way. Again, the whole, remember Tanya, Mayach Shalat ala Lev. The brain rules over the heart. If you can put your head into that headspace that you just spoke about, it will have an effect on how you feel about things.
They always said in psychology, the first thing is to become aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody is so I guess it's that awareness that this is just all a test and coming from the supernal good.
Right. That's what Chaya Pelin said yesterday. I know you're here, but that this became you said mantra during a lot of your phases of life. This is a chapter you can refer to and just take strength from, and gradually that strength will, God willing, penetrate into the way you actually feel about things. That's why I say I wasn't, at first I was looking at it as a really difficult, a tough one over here. But now I'm looking at it differently. I'm looking at it as a really useful letter to help.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Chaya, for sharing that.
Yeah. Took a lot of guts, but I figured for the common good.
Very good. That's why I encouraged everybody to listen to yesterday's very much. There was a really good conversation there. All right. Thank you. And Emir Hashem, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Have a good day, everybody.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.